too long. We are the children of Israel. We are Bani Israel.
That's right.
We are the biblical Israelites.
Well, so we can come out of this captivity and start worshipping God as we are intended to. Yeah, we're preaching the Bible. You have a question? Do you believe in the Bible? You believe in the whole scripture? In old scriptures?
All of
Whatever
scriptures exist in the world, they're all worship believing.
So what
They don't teach bad things.
So what would you say you are? What's your religion?
I don't do religion.
You don't do religion. That's good. That's good. But you believe in a God.
I believe there was a cause. The first cause.
A first cause. And what do you believe that first cause was?
Could be some sort of a very super, some extraordinary, unique, divine, I would say.
Yeah, that's very
generic.
General.
Generic.
Yeah,
Very
generic.
sophisticated in knowledge,
And we can't.
in power, in intelligence, in creationism, in all sorts. Like Matrix, you know?
Okay, so
I find this world as a matrix, and there has to be some architecture.
Yeah, there definitely is, because there is a God and there is a creator. What did you think about this though? You see this here? This is about the transatlantic slave trade. This is what happened to our ancestors. This is what happened to our ancestors. What do you think about that? Because if you believe that there's a creator, do you believe he thinks that what took place there is okay?
You know what I believe? That people tend to use scriptures in their own benefit, in their own political agenda, in order to control, manipulate, and rule over people. To use people for their own sake, for their own benefit. That's what I believe.
Well, that's what you believe, and you know, at the end of the day.
And this is all about that.
And at the end of the day.
You know that.
Sorry. One second. We're gonna let you talk. We're gonna let you talk, right? But what we don't want, when somebody's talking, that you talk over them, because we don't let you talk and say what you're gonna say, and then we will talk. Okay.
Go ahead.
Right. So when you say people use the scriptures to get over other people, right? Now that is not entirely true, because the scriptures itself, right, was written by a nation, to a nation, for a nation. So when the whole book that people read, and this whole construct of this world, which is built on whether you want to say Christianity, or whether you want to say Islam, or even Buddhism, or even Sikhism, or Hinduism, they have all taken tenets out of the writings of the ancient. Now the ancient writings were given to a nation of people to be the custodians of it. Okay? Now that people, they fell away. So according to what is written in the writings that was given to them by this being that you say was all powerful, all supernatural, all intelligent, right? He made 18 nations, he chose one nation. That nation tells the history of all of mankind. Okay? So when other nations take that writing to get over on other nations, yeah, they can do that. But that's not what the writing is about. The writing was for that nation which it was given to educate and teach the other nations. Okay? So the fact that you don't have a religion is a good thing in its own sense. But secondarily, if you have no understanding of the Creator, then you can make whatever you want. You can say, I believe, and the Creator doesn't give a crap what you believe, and he doesn't give a crap what I believe. Yes. He only cares that you do what he says. That's all he cares about.
How do you know what he says actually? What he says actually?
How do you know? Because what he says and what is written, right, in the
How do you know what's written is exactly what he says?
How do I know that?
Yes.
Because everything which is written, right, that the prophets prophesied has come to pass. That's how I know. everything the prophets prophesied, they prophesied that we would go into bondage, right? The children of Israel would go into bondage if they didn't keep his law, statutes, and commandments. Now, when they prophesied, they didn't just prophesy and say, oh, you're going to go into bondage. They said, you're going to go into bondage under this captivity, under this captivity, under this captivity, under this captivity. It's very specific, very specific. So when you read the book of Daniel, Daniel tells us the four kingdoms that was going to, the Most High was going to allow to rule on the earth. This is secular history I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just the prophecy. I'm talking about when you go back in history, you look at all the kingdoms, the rulerships that come in. Daniel speaks about those, right? And tells Israelites, this is what's going to happen until their time is over, right? Because the Creator was showing the house of Israel that He is the one in control of the things that are on this earth. So everything that's been prophesied by the prophets have come to pass up until a certain point. So if every single thing has come to pass up until this point, then why wouldn't the rest of the stuff that is written in the book come to pass?
Well, it only makes sense that the rest will come to pass as well.
Only makes sense. That's how I know that it was the divine words of the Creator that was put upon the prophets to speak, to make man, so man can... So man can understand. I'm going to give it to you in a second. So that man can understand, right? That there is a Creator and that there's an order in creation and that there's rules here. There's rules that you have to follow here. That's the reason why He did it. What kind of rules? Oh, very good question. Very good question. Now there's when the Creator made man, He didn't make man to eat anything. He didn't make man to eat just whatever he wanted to eat. He didn't say to man, you can go and kill another man and eat the flesh of another man. He didn't make man and then say, oh, you can go and take a snake and kill a snake and eat a snake. First of all, He said, the first thing that I'm going to give you understanding on, I'm going to give you understanding on the fruits. The fruits, the things that come from the land, those things are going to be meat for you. So in the beginning, men ate the herbs, they ate fruits, they ate the fruit of the field. Okay. Then afterwards, after the flood, then He said to Noah, okay, now that I've destroyed the earth and I've killed all these beings, right? And obviously the rain would have stopped all the vegetation, right? So He said, now you can eat animals, right? You can eat the meat, but there's certain animals you can eat, and even back in Abraham's days, Abraham understood clean and unclean. Noah understood clean and unclean. So when he went into the ark, there was clean animals that went in 7 by 7. And all of the others, we can ask the question, and I'm going to finish it out, and then we can ask the next question, right? So Noah went into the ark with clean animals, 7 by 7, and he went into he took animals into unclean animals into the ark, 2 by 2. So he knew what was clean, he knew what was unclean. So when he came out of the ark, the Creator said, now you can eat meat, but you can't eat unclean meat. You have to eat the animals which are clean. So there are rules to just, if we're just using that one principle, there are rules to what you can and can't eat. Okay? There's rules to what you can and can't do on earth, just like murder, just like you can't do adultery. You can't do adultery. You can't commit adultery. You bring it out.
You can't steal.
You steal, right? You can't lie. Okay, so there's rules to being here, right? Now man, the ancient people all knew about the Creator. They all knew. Okay, the fact that there's different religions and different views and ideology is because the nations, when they were split into their separate quarters, they decided to do something different than what their ancient ancestors taught them. That's the reason why you have all these different religion and ideologies. That's the reason why. Okay, but the one thing which stands true is the people that followed the Creator from the ancient days and passed that information on down to their children who kept it. And out of that lineage came the house of Israel, came the children of Israel, and the children of Israel were custodians of the ancient knowledge and the ancient wisdom and the ancient practices, which teach us because we are like children. We are children. We are like spiritual children. So yeah, I grow up in my body. I'm a male man. I'm up in age, but as a spirit, I'm just a child. Okay. So now, what happens is these men now who are younger than me, what the knowledge I've learned and I've accumulated as a spirit, I teach to them. They have that knowledge, and then they build on that knowledge, so their spirit grows, and it grows and grows, because the time is going to come where we are going to stand as spiritual adults, as real spiritual men spiritually inside, and the Most High is looking for those people who are going to be spiritual men to give the kingdom of who we call the kingdom of, they call the kingdom of heaven. Because the kingdom of heaven is going to be here, it's a rulership here, to run this earth and to rule this earth correctly as the Creator has made to be run. Right? Now, I'm going to finish this up and then I'm going to let you speak, right? You said, well, what rules are there? So I'm going to give you rules that you follow without even questioning it. You follow rules and you don't even know you're following them, because if you don't eat, what happens to you?
I have started.
You don't exist. So that's a rule. It's a rule. Which person can say I don't want to eat? Right. It's a rule. You have to. Okay? And then I'll give you another rule. Which person you know that if they don't breathe, live?
There are some trying to get
Right? Right? And if you don't sleep, okay, you will die. Okay? And what I'm saying to you is that those rules are innate within our makeup. Okay? But no one questions those rules. It's only when the Creator says the rules which are external to us, we have a freaking problem with it. We have a problem, and that's the difference. That's the difference between Israelites and religion, because we are not religious. This isn't religion. This is the laws and the instructions that was given to man to live here. Okay. Now Israel was given their own separate laws, like our dress law, okay, like our dietary law, like our customary laws, how we treat one another. Okay. But the other nations, the other people who come from Adam, because we all come from Adam, right? We all are under universal laws, universal, which apply to every human being that is on the planet, every human being, right? And until the world wakes up to that, right, you will have people using ideologies to get over on another nation and to bring people into captivity and into slavery and war and poverty and all the evil that you see happen on earth. It will stay here until men learn how to serve the Creator. Now, how are they going to learn to serve the Creator? Israelites are going to wake back up in the last days according to our prophets. Just like they prophesied on all the captivities, they also prophesied at the end of all our captivities and at the end when the nations have had their time to rule, that the Creator was going to wake us up. Right? And when he wakes us up, Messiah is going to return, and he's going to redeem us and take us out of the hands of our enemies. Because all the nations we are scattered to, right? We are at the bottom of all those nations. We are being gunned down in the streets in America. Our people in Haiti, right? The French have had them in such a subjugation, right? That them in such poverty. Brazil, when they took us from the northwest coast of Africa and shipped us over to Brazil, and all those people are living in poverty. Us in Europe, last time, first time, you know, we are demonized. In the papers, when they write a story about Negroes, it's always a negative connotation. Always always, and the question you've got to ask yourself is, why is that the narrative? Why hasn't the people who built this kingdom of rape, robbery and murder of one people and slavery of one people, because this whole construct was built of the rape, robbery of our ancestors and free labor. There's been no reparations paid. There's been no sorry. There's been no repatriation. They don't talk about the true history of these people that they took. They only go back as far as Greece, as if history started in Greece. History didn't start in Greece. Men were living thousands of years before Greece ever existed. That's the question you've got to ask. And when you start asking the right questions, then you'll start to get the right answers. But if you're going to just go on where you are now and then make an ideology in your mind and say, oh, it's men just using it for their own personal gain. Yeah, you can say that, but there's no understanding in that, because you're just dealing with what you're seeing around you. You've got to go back to the ancient days, okay? See what the ancients spoke about, right? And then bring that ancient knowledge through time, through the history, until we get to today, because we didn't just pop up into this situation. This where we are now, it didn't just pop out of thin air. Men made this happen to where it is now, and it's history. Okay? Now, the point is...
But now we don't have slavery.
But now we don't have slavery. No, not really, no.
Really?
No, because for me to be out of slavery, okay? For me to be out of slavery, I would have to be returned. What is it?
Please.
Yeah, because well, go ahead. You said because you said
slavery is not being physically enslaved, rather
mentally, yeah.
Mentally slavery is the worst of all the slavery.
Right. So being mentally enslaved is exactly the same slavery. It's just like having a dog or an animal, and you train that animal only to go so far. So you put a rope around its neck, and you put it through certain distance, and then when it gets to that distance, it eats the food. It learns that, and then the animal starts to think, this is as far as I can go. So no matter what you do, you can take the rope off his leg. Animal ain't gonna go any further than what you train it.
One thing I want to say in regards to Abrahamic religion is that my country was they practice Islam.
Your country, what's your country? Kazakhstan.
They practice Islam. But the problem is that Islam never actually abolished slavery. And the most African countries among them, they were number one trading for slaves to America.
Right.
Most of Islamic countries, they've been practicing slavery to this day, all the way from Muhammad's time. Because it's in their script.
Right, I don't know that.
They consider it as Abraham as they taught.
Right.
So who's right?
Right. Yeah, but the point is, but that's they're all
at the same time they're okay with slavery.
But those are religions. Religion. Islam is a religion. Christianity is a religion.
But they have scriptures. If you got the scriptures,
yeah,
it's a religion.
What I'm saying,
if you don't got scriptures, no religion.
No, that's not true. Because a religion is a belief in something which is not tied to you actually doing something literally on the earth. It's tied to you believing a concept, a mental concept. Now, in the writings of the Torah, the Creator tells us how to treat animals, how to treat the land, right? Okay, for argument's sake.
But nowadays, common sense tells to Western society that certain things should not be done with animals, right? There are so many organizations, right? Animal defending organizations, the ecological, whatever. Still, like
yeah, but so why are people eating pork then? Why are people because pork is unclean?
What's the problem with pork? Without pork, all China would die. Chinese people would die.
But the point,
Just
what-
consider
I'm-
1,000
no,
people
no,
eating
that's not the only. That's not.
When they run out of
That's,
resources.
that's not. No, you won't.
That's the
No, you
Chinese
won't.
people
No, you
eating
won't. No, you won't.
It's the India qualifying the cow. If it's India, who would qualify the cow?
No.
Who would run out of beef?
Who said that? Who told you that?
Who would run out of all the beef?
Who told you
India
that?
wouldn't consider
Who
cows
told you
a
that?
product.
Who told you that?
I told.
You told yourself.
Yes, I told myself.
So you
I'm just
have no
thinking.
belief. You don't have no understanding of the Creator.
I'm
The
trying to
Creator,
understand
the Creator brings everything on the earth. The Creator does that, not man. Not man. Man doesn't do anything. All man has to do is do what he's freaking well told. That's all he's got to do, and the Creator will provide. There's no such thing as running out. You cannot run out of anything here because the Creator is in control. What you got on your mind is a Western mindset. Western mindset.
What's the problem with the Western mindset?
Because it's Western mindset is demonic. That's the problem with it.
I cannot see what's happening to the planet.
Because the Western mindset will tell you that another man can lie with another man, and that's okay. And they make laws for that shit. They make laws for it. You say a woman can lay with a woman and make laws for that shit, and then say, oh, you can decide whatever you want to be. You can describe yourself as whatever you want to be.
What's the problem?
What's the problem? The problem is that when I came out my mother's womb and I came out with a rod, right? That rod shows me I'm a man. And when a female came out and she came out with her vagina, it shows her she's a female. What's the difference? One goes into another one, and by that action, you were born. And for the same reason, is the same man who wants to love another man. That's how he came. But then he comes, but he doesn't want to do that. He wants to go in the rear end of another man.
I can understand there are some extreme cases. Just an idea.
Overall, what's wrong with that?
overall.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
They're very minor
If it was okay, if it was okay, right, and man could go with man, you wouldn't freaking be here.
Every idea has some extremes.
Wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here.
You just used as an extreme now. You said, well, if Chinese people didn't eat pork,
Right.
they'd all die out.
Yeah.
But now I'm saying if a man don't love a woman, that we're gonna die out. That's extreme.
Right.
So when
No,
you're
that's
when
not
you're
extreme.
reasoning,
I
yeah,
said extreme when man loves man.
yeah, that's not extreme.
That's
We would
what I
die
mean.
out. We would die out. The world
Every idea has their own
population, the
extreme.
world population would die out. We wouldn't exist no more.
Still, we have this feeling towards opposite sex. Naturally, we have that.
Naturally, yeah.
No one's gonna disregard that or prohibit that, right? You cannot just take it off. Probably some people, with exceptions, they're born that way, right?
Nobody's born that way. They
They're
make a
not.
choice.
Yeah.
You make a choice.
Some make choice. I can understand. Those,
You make a choice to
Those
do that.
perverts, they make choice.
No, but then the point is, because they're seeing it, because they're pushing it, more people are agreeing and going in that way.
Right.
If more people knew it was wrong, it wouldn't be so prevalent. Because they're teaching children
Fair
from
enough.
when they're 5, from when they're 4, that it's okay to have 2 daddies and 2 mummies. And making books teaching your 3-year-old and your 4-year-old that it's okay, that's normal, and it's not normal. And that's what we need to get back to. What's normal? God's normal, not this society's
Queen
normal.
of England. She's not just the queen of this country, but also she's supposed to be also some sort of queen of Christian community. She is also queen of church in some.
She's not a queen. Who's queen is she?
But
Yours.
Anglicanism is coming from that king.
Catholicism,
Yes. But still,
Yeah.
she's supposed to be responsible.
Is she your queen? She's your queen.
Huh?
She's your queen.
She's not my queen. She's the queen of the state. What is she looking at? I mean, the same as for going in the schools that they're teaching the kids this way. She's supposed to be responsible for that, right? She's a queen. Because this country is considered still as Christian. Wherever you go, there's churches everywhere around.
Yeah, and that's what religion gives you. This is what religion gives you. That's what you want to say. Oh, she's the queen of this state, and this state is a Christian religion. Yeah, it is Christian. Yeah, it's demonic. Christianity is demonic.
What you preaching over there?
We are teaching the writings of our ancestors because
But is that Old Testament? What?
old and so-called old and so-called new. But there's no such thing as real old and new, right? There is one testament right? So the testimony is from Abraham up until when Christ comes, because Abraham was given a promise. That promise was manifested in who they call Christ. Okay? There's not two testimonies. There's only the one. Okay? So we are out here because we understand the times that we're in now. Okay? The times that we're in now is the Creator is waking up his people. He's bringing back the knowledge and understanding of the ancients to the house of Israel.
I think it's a job of creator actually to be caring about all this stuff, not your job. Don't you think the creator,
It is almighty. It is his job, but if he chooses the people to do that on the earth, then how is that him not dealing with it?
That's like saying, is it the CEO of a company?
Which means he doesn't need, but he can't come here. He can't come here. If he comes here, he's just, well, that's what you're saying. He has to come here.
You know, nowadays, with one push button, I can announce through the mic, through the speakers, to all the world, right? With broadcast, YouTube, I can announce anything to the whole world.
Right.
Why God, with one push button, can't just whisper to the ears of all people?
Because they would,
Almighty,
even if he
yeah.
did, they wouldn't listen. Even if he did,
So
they wouldn't
he's
listen.
less power than us.
Even if
We
he
can broadcast on
even
YouTube
if he
to millions
did,
of people,
even
why
if he
we can't do
did,
that?
even if he
Just-
did, but even if he did, they still wouldn't listen. Even if he did that,
Well, how do you know that? How do you know that?
because if it was possible, he would have done it. And if
Because
it
people
was
back then
possible,
were
he would
dumb,
do it.
right? Now people are more.
If it was possible, he would do it.
No.
Also, if you can't believe us who are physical,
All you gotta do
if you can't believe us who live and you can see, how on earth are you going to believe something that you hear in your head? You're going to say, how many millions of people are going to say, oh, it was just in my head.
Oh, yeah.
It was just in my head. I heard
When
it.
God
I heard it.
talked to Moses by a bush, right? Still, Moses, he believed that he
Because Moses was an Israelite.
But
And he
still,
says, my
he's a
sheep
human
hear my
being,
voice.
right? God spoke to Moses,
Right.
and he could understand it was God speaking to him, right?
And he used Moses to deliver his people.
So we can't be like Moses to be able to distinguish whether it's God speaking to us or someone else.
Moses was an Israelite, so no, the other nations are not going to know and understand. He created Israel to teach the nations. That's why he created Israelites.
I think it's not only about Israel. I think all nations had their
It's
own
about
Israel.
it's about
Literally
Israel.
all about Israel.
And this is your misunderstanding, your misconception, right? Because he was talking about Abrahamic faiths, right? That's the issue, right? Because you're basing what you're saying off of religion, right? These people don't really read the scriptures. They don't read it, so they don't know it. So you said that they use the Bible, right, to do stuff like this and save and stuff like that, right? The Bible tells you not to do that, right? I'm going to read a scripture for you, right? This is from the Bible itself, right?
But there are so many
Wait a
things.
second.
So
So
many
let me read it first, right? So this is Exodus chapter 21 and verse 16.
Bring it out.
It says, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. That's what the scriptures say. The scriptures don't say it's okay to steal a man and to sell him.
It's only one thing written, you just read there, but there are many things written there, and people always find some other way to get around it.
No,
You know,
there's
from
not other
the
way. There's
same
not other way
book.
to get
That's
around
what
it.
they do.
There's not other way to get around it because when they were
Bring them
using
here. Bring the person who can get around.
Now, all the do's and the nots, because it's 2 pages long only.
Bring them here.
All the do's and the nots. Why would spread out through the whole book so that people will find a way how to get around any rules or any do's and do nots?
No, what you misunderstand is right is that when it talks about having somebody as a servant, right? A lot of the time, it was if he was a servant, he was a servant because he owed somebody something.
Right.
It wasn't he wasn't allowed to take somebody and steal them and take them across flipping the Atlantic Ocean to do it. Say I broke something of somebody's, right, or I tried to steal something from somebody, right, and then I was found in that act, right. I would have to work for that person to pay back and pay some more, right. But I'd have to work for that person then.
Right.
Right, if I killed one of their animals, I'd have to work for them to
Right.
pay them back.
Yeah.
To pay them back.
It's called indentured servitude.
Indentured servitude. Right, that's what it was. It was never you can just steal somebody and take them. What that was people twisting the words to make it seem like he was allowed to do all that. That was them doing that. And then on top of that, right, what they did is they made something called a slave Bible. Right, they made a slave Bible. So they kept in scriptures, right, to make it seem like that's what the scriptures was talking about? No, it was never talking about that. Right? And they never said it within context, because if they said it within context, the people that was in slavery, our people, they would have fought back there and then, but they had to keep them low. They had to make it seem like them being in that servitude or in slavery, I should say, was okay. That was never okay. It was never okay. Right? But the whole point is, right, is that Christianity, Islam, and all of those religions, right, are all intercalations or what's the word? Like projections that is fake. It's all an agenda. Those are agendas, right? The book was never written as an agenda, right? It was a culture. It was history, right? This is all history, you know, right? It lines up with secular history. If you read secular history, you'll find that this lines up with it, right? So the same way, because you've heard of Babylon before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like, so the Babylonian Empire that existed, right? We were in captivity in the Babylonian Empire. You've heard of the Persian Empire, the Medes, right? We was in slavery in those societies, right? You've heard of the Greek Empire. Everyone's heard of the Greek Empire. That's one of the big ones they talk about, right? The Roman Empire. Well, Byzantine. That's before the Byzantine. Then you got the
You mean like during the Caesar Julius?
Yeah, Julius Caesar. Yeah. So then you got the Roman. That's the Roman Empire, right? And that's within history, right? And that's within the book. That's in the Bible. That's in the book, right? So this lines up with history, right? So there's no doubt in our minds, right, that these people exist. They're here. We are them, right? Because we've read it and we've lined it with history.
The problem is that I think people in the past, like most of them, especially regular people, they wouldn't have access to this books. Probably most of them they couldn't read. So those who could read, they would have this power, you know, to influence.
Yeah, what happened is that we wrote this book. We had all these writings, and they were stolen from us, right? So up to a certain point, we knew who we were, up until the point where they broke us, until they said you can't read and write, or we're going to kill you, and that's what happened. So when this book was traveling all around the world, we were told you're not allowed to read, you're not allowed to write. While we was in those servitude, in slavery, right. And they said, if you learn to read or write, if we catch you reading, we'll kill you. Because if we learned how to read or to write, we'd understand what was written in the book. They knew that.
And just reading isn't enough. You gotta understand, the book was given to us because we understand it. The Most High gives us the understanding. The people who had the book and were teaching it don't understand it. They can read it, and reading it's not enough. If I give you a book that explains to you how to do brain surgery, and I give it to you, and I'll give it to you for a day, you can read it. Does it necessarily mean you're going to know how to do brain surgery? You could have read the whole thing back to front, but you still need to be taught how to do it. You need to experience it. You need to see someone else do it, and that information needs to be passed down. And this is exactly what's happened. They've had our book, and now people are dying because they're trying to do surgery and trying to live by a book they don't understand.
They know nothing about it.
They know nothing about it.
What do you mean? What do you mean by your book?
That it belongs to the Israelites. It was written by the Israelites, to the Israelites, for the Israelites. For us to learn it, it's our teaching guide, because we were put here to teach the nation so that everyone can live how God wants them to live. I don't think it's weird that how many animals are extinct, how many wars there are, birds dropping out the sky, whales beaching themselves, all these beaching themselves.
The seas are full of plastic.
The seas are full of plastic. There's sinkholes. The earth's just opening up, swallowing people whole. There's floods and hundreds of thousands of people are being killed.
There's snow in the desert.
There's snow in the desert. You think the planet's meant to be like that? And the reason the planet's like that is because the wrong people have the book. The Bible says when the wicked are in rule, the people mourn. That's where we are. But when the righteous are in rulership, the people will rejoice.
Right.
And we're out here to tell people to start keeping the laws as they're supposed to, because that's our job. Our job is to wake up our people. Because when we wake up and do our job, the world will know peace.
Messiah will return.
And Messiah will return. And people like you, if you care about the planet, firstly, if you care about God, and then if you care about the planet and your fellow people on the earth, you're going to come and say, you know what, out of everyone on the planet, at least they're telling us how to save the planet and do what's right and please God and follow, because that's the only way anyone else is going to get salvation. When the Bible talks about heaven, the heaven's not a magical place in the sky. I hope you don't believe it's some fairy tale that we're all going to fly up into the sky and go into clouds and you can ask God for whatever you want. I don't know what they teach in Islam. Is heaven, where's heaven?
I don't know where heaven is.
And that's what I'm saying, because they don't know. But if you read the scriptures, heaven's going to come on earth. There's going to be a heaven on
righteous
earth. A righteous rulership. And the only way into it is through the 12 gates. That means the only way you can enter in is through one of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. You need to find out who the children of Israel are and cleave to them. That's your only job. Do what you're told and live on the planet righteously, and then the world will know peace. And that's the only way the world is going to know peace. Otherwise, it's not going to come. The end can't come until we preach this gospel, because that's what the good news is.
Right.
The good news that they talk about the gospel is not that Jesus Christ died and rose again. The good news is that this kingdom, where the world is being destroyed, is coming to an end. The people who are in power are slowly falling and coming out of their powers. And the Israelites are waking up. So wherever you look on the planet now, search Israelites, just Google it, YouTube it, search up the Hebrew Israelites, and you'll see we're waking up in America, Brazil, India, China, all over the world, England, we're in London. We're waking up everywhere, and it's not by chance. Only the Most High could make all them hundreds of thousands, millions of people wake up. And we're all waking up, and we're all teaching the same thing out of the Bible and the history of it. Not Christianity, not Islam. We're teaching it as it's supposed to be taught, so the world can know peace. And that's what we're out here. That's what the good news is, not what religion teaches. This ain't a religion, and that's not what we're out here to do. So I recommend that you do that, because I believe in your head you believe in a creator, but you haven't been given the guidance. You haven't been given the guidance where to look and what to think. Yeah, and you know.
I think I've been given the guidance.
Well, now you have. Today.
I mean, not only that sort of guidance, but I see this world as a book of creators. Creation is good. You know, when it's by the science, physics, math, biology. You're actually reading the book that God has written in terms of this materialistic world, right? So I think, as well as He has written this world in terms of creation, He's supposed to also have given us some sort of a book which is built in our DNA. You know what I mean? From the very beginning, history now, He must have actually given that book. Like this, like not only self-consciousness, but sort of like when you have this compassionate, when you can be loving, you know, when you can be forgiving, all sorts of these characters that only belong to us, right? Not animals or any other feeling. We all have these feelings towards others, right? I think these feelings, let's say when you commit your first crime, you steal something, right? You shoplift. Probably not going to feel well. You have this worrying feeling in your heart that this is going to be wrong. Though probably you never read any scripture before, but still you think that this feeling is going to be wrong. That's because
when you're a kid, if you're not taught that stealing is wrong and you steal, you're not going to feel nothing. If you're not taught that, you're not going to feel nothing.
Yeah, of course people are going to teach you, or your mother, your parents are going to teach you, obviously. But still, the teaching comes from that if you don't want to be heard, you should not hurt others, right?
Yeah, but all you're doing is telling us exactly what we're trying to tell you. Yeah. Our job is to teach that to our children. My father passed it down to me. My job is to pass it down to our children. The reason the world is in the state it's in is because history and information wasn't passed down. Lies were told. That's why you seem to not understand what took place in history. This is all historical. It's not made up, it's not a fairy tale, it's not a storybook. This actually took place, and that's why we're trying to explain to you that it's real and what the things that are to come. You do know World War III is on its way. The world is going to go into another world war. The banks are crashing, they're crashing all their finances, and they're trying to move to a digital currency. They're making weapons of war, massive nuclear weapons. They're creating bunkers. What are they creating bunkers for? They're creating bunkers to hide from something that they know is coming.
Right, the Space Force.
Yeah. They're creating. They've got a space force. What do they need a space force for? A space army, you know. Google it. A space army. Why do they need an army in space? What is coming? What are they planning to fight?
They're gonna fight back their nuclear weapon, flying through the space. Like
they're gonna fight themselves.
Cross-continental weapons.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Intercontinental, ballistic missiles. They've got. They've got them, but they don't need that just for us little people. You can take out a whole planet with some of the weapons they've got. They don't want to fight us. They think they're going to fight against the Messiah because they know who they call Jesus Christ is coming back. The Bible tells us, and they go by the Bible. All those elites, the people who are mega rich, own all the banks, own all the conglomerates, Asda, Tesco, all them massive companies. The people who run it know the Bible. And that's why everything they do is about money, greed, and keeping their society, all the rich people rich, and the poor people poor. That's what it's all about. So they're not trying to fight us. They're planning to fight something supernatural, a spiritual war. And they know that we are on the side of the Creator. And that's why they're going to try and stop the information. That's why they'll probably try and take down both. But we come out here and speak from our lips because they can't stop our lips. They can't stop us out here. We have what they call free speech. And that's what we're out here to do. And we will.
All right,
Because that's what
thank you,
our job